coached over 100 wedding pros in like 4 or 5 years, and found that the one thing that was like the lowest hanging fruit for more people to make more money was just emailing their people more. We spend so much time trying to get visibility, trying to get leads, trying to get somebody to like give us their email one time, and then we never do anything with it.
With as hard as life can be, I wouldn't ask to change a thing. Everything I've been through brought me closer to you. You were the...
Today's guest is someone who's redefining what entrepreneurship can look like when you stop building for appearances and start building for alignment. Teresa is the founder of Sleeked Marketing, co-founder of the Creative Law Foundry, and the host of Becoming Obsessed. Welcome, Teresa, and welcome to you. Let's LFG with AQi. Hi, Teresa. How are you doing today?
Amazing. Amy, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. You are an old pro at podcasting. You've had a podcast for a couple years. I feel like I'm like late to the game. So you have the Becoming Obsessed podcast. You're an entrepreneur. So excited to talk to you today and share your experiences on becoming a founder. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey and what brought you to be an entrepreneurial queen that you are?
Yeah, oh my gosh. It started a decade ago, officially. I started as a photographer, a videographer. I knew that I didn't want to go make some man who was burning a forest more money. That was my end all be all. I needed to have a little bit more autonomy over the impact I was having on the world. And I didn't quite know how to do that, but I, over the last decade, have found my way. I was just actually thinking how proud I am of myself that I never went and got like a big girl job, like a real job,
a corporate
right?
job. Yeah.
I got the harder version, which is
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. So I went from a photographer, a videographer, tried to learn from pros who were better than me, found myself never picking up a camera with them, but actually helping them improve their business, their systems, their funnels, actually paying themselves a living wage. And I followed that flow, hated sitting in an editing bay and just like was late on every deadline. So I followed that flow and really started working with online business owners and creatives, a lot of wedding pros specifically, coached over 100 wedding pros in like 4 or 5 years, and found that the one thing that was like the lowest hanging fruit for more people to make more money was just emailing their people more. We spend so much time trying to get visibility, trying to get leads, trying to get somebody to like give us their email one time, and then we never do anything with it.
So they're dropping those warm connections and everything becomes a cold connection again.
Yes, and then we're like, why aren't we making any sales? Well, because you didn't ask for it. And if you did, you barely did half a time, and then like never followed up or never built the relationship. And so 3 years ago, I actually started Sleeked Marketing, which is a done-for-you email marketing agency, because I was like, this is the low-hanging fruit. If I can just get people to send a few more emails, they will make more money, and it's a win for everybody.
That's great.
At the same time, I started Becoming Obsessed to kind of document my own journey of building my own business, not just helping other people. And then about a year into that, one of my clients decided to build tech. So I've really the last 2 years pivoted from being in the like online creator personal brand space to now getting a taste of like, what is it like to build tech and build a SaaS product and build something that inherently you have to scale in order for the numbers and the business model to work. So it's been quite the journey. I'm definitely in the mix of like learning a lot of things.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've had a lot of learning experiences. Is there one sector that your heart is for, like you love the most?
Now that I've played in tech for a couple years, I'm actually now shifting back into the more creative space. Working with artists, for me, I think business has been a hobby. Like I love talking about business. And I want to bring that to the people who, like they want to do art, right? Like they want to, maybe they're really great at a service or they have something they can teach. And I love those conversations of like the people where, again, it's almost this low-hanging fruit. It's an easy win. If I can get these people to make a little bit more money, they can sustain their life. And that just ripples so much in our community. So I definitely, my heart is in the creative space. And weirdly to me, that is also a lot of the like small B2B. So the designers, the like branding, marketing type space. as well as like true artists.
Yeah, that's really fun. I mean, and I think you can get both sides of your brain working at the same time. It makes you want to be more fulfilled and do that. So I love that. What did that early version of entrepreneurship look like for you? Because you said you started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What were you like, 12?
Yeah, I was 20. I was
20.
like 19, 20, photographer, videographer in college still. While also doing everything else you could think of in a sorority, working with the football team, had another job, was managing the intramurals division at my university, getting a degree.
Yeah.
Right? Studied abroad 4 times. So my early days were a mix of just like chasing passions and trying to make it work and doing what you can. And I like to joke that I actually, like, when I talk to videographer photographers, I always say, like, I did the package that you would never want to do. I did a 45-minute wedding film for $1,000, right? So I learned, like, those early days were really learning my value, and that my value goes way further than just like, here's a deliverable. It's like, okay, what's my time? What are the resources? And mostly, what is the energy I'm gonna put into this? Because that's really where your value is.
Yeah.
And when you're following your energy, you can provide so much more than when you're burnt out, and that same time, skill, resource won't go as far.
Yeah.
So.
And you mentioned that a little earlier too, the value of paying yourself a livable wage.
Yes.
How many entrepreneurs do you know, because it's a conversation I have all the time, where I'll look at their pro forma and their projections and there's no salary for themselves. I'm like, why aren't you paying yourself because you're valuable? When I look at men entrepreneurs, sometimes it's like the first line. They're like, well, this is what my time's worth. So you learned that early on.
Yeah, and I think it was because I did have some security I could fall back on, right? So I always like to name that because my bank account hit 0 so many times traveling abroad, but I knew if I needed to, I had enough people in my circle that could buy me a ticket home, right? So I had that security blanket. Wasn't gonna like be a trust fund or anything, right? But if I was really in a pinch, so anything I really wanted, I needed to be able to get to myself, for myself. And I think watching so many other women specifically, but any business owner, like even a lot of the men that I coached, didn't pay themselves, right? Didn't know how to pay themselves and didn't even know how to price in a way that would bring any money home, like that would pay the bills, let alone pay a salary. And it was just that lack of knowledge more than anything. I think there is a huge conversation around worth. But even before we get into like the worth and the inner work, it's like, okay, great. How about we just say that you need to make this much money and you want to work this many hours? Great, we're gonna do some easy division there.
Yeah.
Let's say you need to make $50 an hour. Okay, great. Now we're just gonna times that by what you think this project is gonna take and add let's say 20% for expenses, right? And so it's like we can kind of take some of the emotional pull out of it when we just say, what are the simplest numbers we can work with?
Yes.
And with Wedding Pros, it was often, okay, so is your package actually that? No, it's not. So we need to work on now doing the inner work to feel like you deserve that. But even before you think you deserve it, you just have to ask for it.
Yeah.
Because you can't continue your business if you can't support yourself.
Yeah. That can be really hard.
Yeah.
I was talking with somebody recently and they were talking about the first times they're picking up the phone, they're like, oh, this is so-and-so and I'm the CEO, and that confidence that it takes to make that call or to hand over the number, because you're going to maybe get rejected and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because not every client is going to be for you.
100%. And you don't want them to be, right? Like I'm not for everybody. And I actually, on my marketing intake form, it has a box you have to check that says, I support the girlies and I'm an awesome person to work with. Because if you're like not willing to say I'm for the girls, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to say I'm for the girls, we probably aren't gonna vibe.
That's
I probably don't want to work with
good differentiator that you've found there. I like that. Now, when it comes to working with girlies, you have a little cohort.
I do.
That you work with. So A, can it be lonely being a founder? And B, how have you found your community?
Okay, Amy, I'm gonna be so serious with you right now.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've really felt lonely in the journey.
Good.
I think a lot of people do. And I also think that there's a huge conversation And sometimes we say things enough times that it becomes true even if it isn't. Being a business owner is always like, I don't know a different way, but I've always been really good at finding my people. So even traveling abroad, I think the one time I remember feeling like really lonely, I was in Greece for 2 months, and I love Athens so much. I'd been in Athens for 5 weeks, and I had my little tour. Somebody would come to the hostel, it'd be their first night, we'd be friends, I would take them to my favorite souvlaki place for street food, then we'd go get dessert, like I'd do the tour. And finally I was like, okay, now all my friends have left again, now I have new friends. And that's when I think I started to feel lonely, is when you're like meeting new people all the time, right?
And it's hard to have really authentic conversations when it's constantly new people over and over again.
Or it's very, I'll go deep in a conversation real quick, right? Like I'm not a small talk person. But then when that's the only type of conversation, it's almost this reversal of like, I'll get to know you if you're open and willing. Like usually we go there. That's why I listen to my podcast, because we get deep in just an hour. But it really is the reversal of like, but then every time you meet somebody, it's like, okay, can we go there or not? And there's no just sitting back. And like you mentioned, the cohort that I'm in now, or the collective, now I don't have to quantify and qualify everything I say. People just understand me. And so you're not having to introduce yourself so many times. And traveling, I think a lot of times it's amazing because now you don't have any expectations of who you are, and you get to see how you show up. But then you kind of get tired of that too, right? And you want to go back. So I think I've just been really lucky too that I've always got to work with people that I want to. And I'm very selective about who I work with, and I'm very aware of like my energy. There's a couple women I love that I've gotten to work with, and for some reason I'm like, I love you, I adore you, I find you so inspiring, but talking to you gives me the biggest anxiety. If I owe you deliverables, I just like always feel like you're mad at me, and they never are, right? And so for me, I'm like, I don't know what this is exactly, but I just don't have to do that. So I won't, right? So like, let's identify it, not judge ourselves for it, and kind of keep moving until we do find our people.
So what do you think the number one like talent you have to do that, and how could other people that might need to find people to work with, like what do you think is the thing that might be missing for them? Like if they're sitting at home, they're in their office, they're not meeting other people, they're just grinding. I talked to an entrepreneur yesterday. She has this incredible online software she's been building for 5 years, and she doesn't have a really big community yet because she's just been at the desk and at the computer. Like, what would you say to those people? How do they find their communities?
You have to show up, right? Like, if you're sitting behind a desk for 5 years building your software, when and where are you being human? When and where are you supporting your humanity over just being a founder? And what one do you want to be first? Like, is your goal to just be a founder and to create a business? Or is your goal to create something that enables your life and impacts others? And I think a lot of times we get super focused on what it seems like everybody else is doing, which is like building a successful company and working 60 hours a week. And I don't think that's the reality of most people. I think it's the summation of all these little like people doing something, right? And so first I would say you need to show up, and you need to be willing to show up when you don't feel good, to show up when you're tired, because that inconvenience is where real community is found. And then also be real with yourself about what capacity you have for different types of relationships. Right? We talk about community a lot. I talk about community a lot on Becoming Obsessed right now. Community and friendship are different, right? We both go to 1 Million Cups in Omaha a lot. I love that community. I love it because I don't have to do any follow-up or any communication. Hey guys, when can we get together? I show up, I see the people that are there. Maybe they're there 1 week and not the other week. Maybe I'm there 1 week and not the other week. But now after 4 years, I have a community. I don't have to talk to people outside of that to know that if they need something, we can do it when we need to. That is very different than You mentioned my collaborative, my girls, Emily and Ashley. The three of us are almost like a board of directors for each other, where we are in the group chat every single day. Emily just was like, hey, these are the titles for my new workshop. What do you think? I was like, those sound cutesy. We need to be clear. And then she's like, okay, yes. And doing that for me as well. And that's also a different relationship than my best friend, who I don't talk business with. And we mostly laugh and talk shit.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're feeling lonely, what type of relationship are you craving? Look at yourself. Where are you not giving yourself what you need, right? Are you giving yourself time with other people? Or are you not showing up because you're too tired because you stared at a screen too much and you have to get work done and there's deadlines you're blowing? Same.
Yeah. That's such
Like
a great
same.
point. I mean, having the 3 different groups minimum. I mean, and that's not even mentioning your support system and your family and giving the
My
time.
partner, the love of my life.
Yeah. So has there ever been a point in your business where you looked successful externally, but internally it just didn't feel sustainable?
Girl, right now,
Are you-
whew,
yeah.
2 years ago, I was like, finances were getting in a really great position. Business was going super well. Podcast was going super well. Building tech while running 2 businesses of my own is a completely separate beast. Like, whew,
Yeah. So looking
but
at
it
you
is.
look successful externally, but internally you're like, you're on fire. Like, doesn't feel
Yeah.
sustainable. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't do this forever.
And that has really been where I've been for the last 2 years, is just consistently being like aware and trying to shift. What can I do? Where am I taking on too much? Where am I not being supported? Where am I trying to support somebody? And trying to identify what's in my control. But here's, I think, the thing that's helping me the most is a lot of times we talk about change or transition and we see it like hindsight's 2020. And we talk about it and it's like, I knew I needed to make that change. I made that change. But that change took a year or 2 years. And so right now I am going through a transition of this isn't sustainable. It was like the beginning of the year and I was like, I don't want to be here next year at this time. But I'm so happy to spend the next 8 months rearranging my capacity in a way that is going to support the people that are affected by it. Instead of just, I can't do this anymore. It's like, okay, what can I do? And
Yeah.
what can I help? And how can we rearrange this? And the important thing there is also that if it's not working for you, it's not working for anybody else either, right? Like, and it's not working for the company. And the company is not you, it is something separate. And if, like, right, go to McDonald's. Everyone there, if they're grumpy, how's that business doing? You're not going back there.
Right.
And we have to treat our own business that same way. If we are not good in ourselves, but you mentioned something earlier too. We talked about the idea of like confidence and building confidence and asking for your worth. And another thing that I have been very aware of in my own journey the last few years is I'm like the most confidence girl. Like, I'm like, okay, let's show up, let's do it. And the last 2 years, because I have been through a season of immense growth, learning a whole new industry, you know, playing tech founder, which is like talking to developers and feeling like I'm actually dropping a lot of balls in different places because I have, you know, 3 companies that I'm trying to run. It actually has, I've noticed, hit my confidence because your confidence in your self-trust is built when you do a little thing and you prove yourself you can do it. And lately I'm like, girl, I don't know if I can do this. And so it is that balance of, is there self-judgment? No. Is that bad? No. But a lot of times when we're going through immense growth, it actually feels like a step backwards when it is that step forwards.
Yeah. And I think it shows incredible maturity to say, this isn't how I want to spend my time. And I'm not liking who I am and split between these different things. And how can you pivot?
Yeah.
So every opportunity is it's information.
Yeah.
And it's not a failure. It's just a piece of information. You can say, okay, I learned that. That's maybe not where I want to be. And I'm going to go over here and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that your Becoming Obsessed podcast is the heart? Like, is that the heart where you love to do? Like, if you could do just like one thing, would it be that?
That might be what we're working towards.
Yeah.
It really is. When Becoming Obsessed is paying my bills, and paying me to travel around the world to speak to women, to help do activations,
Right
to help
there.
more women
Yeah.
who have it all play more so they can actually enjoy it all. Like that is where we're heading.
That's my dream. Like
That is where we're heading.
Yeah, I'm such a travel girly too. Like I love to travel, and to be able to get paid to travel, like paid speaking and paid traveling is like the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's been the most fun about having that podcast for you?
Oh, the
So
people
drop
I
it
talk
first.
to.
So becoming obsessed.
Yeah.
It's on all you're listening.
Yeah, becoming obsessed. It's where curiosity leads you to a life you love. It's where we're developing a playful state of mind. And like I just said, if you feel like you have it all and you enjoy none of it, I'm not trying to help people get better, faster, stronger, smarter, hotter, wealthier. Let's just exist. Let's just be like, this is where we're at, and learn how to cultivate more joy. I was actually talking to Glenn at 1 Million Cups this week, and we were talking about, what does it take to live a good life? And he's like, people need to worry less. I was like, I agree with you. But the problem is we're so focused on regulating our nervous system. We're so focused on not worrying. But if I say, don't think of an elephant, what do you think about?
It's the elephant.
So if I say, don't worry, if I say, okay, I'm going to regulate my nervous system, all I'm thinking about is how dysregulated my nervous system is. Whether it is or isn't, that is the story I'm telling myself. So if all we're doing is focusing on not worrying or focusing on regulating our nervous system, then we feel like we're behind all the time. And we feel like everyone's trying to sell us something better, faster, stronger, hotter, smarter, wealthier. And so becoming obsessed is this place to just come back and exist and do something that makes you forget to worry less, right? Forget about the word worry, forget you're dysregulated. How do we do something that brings more joy? And to me, that's play. And there's actually 8 play personality types. So I've been digging into the research and the science of play. And that's really what I'm going to be bringing to the podcast.
I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, it's
There's
really
8
fun.
different like personalities of play. So
Yeah.
so is it like connected with Enneagram, or is it connected with something that I might know?
So it's not necessarily connected to other personality types, which I think is really interesting, because what I want to do is actually, I think I might make a spin-off of the podcast where I talk about the 8 different types, but then also how if you show up in your work, in your play style, then like finally you'll be like, everyone says like, oh, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's like, okay, yeah, but I also feel like I'm working. So how do we actually start to find our play styles and learn how to incorporate that into our work?
That's very cool. What would you give advice to people that maybe have confusion between their passion and burnout?
Yeah.
Like they focus so much on something and they love it that they start hating it because they have to do it all the time. Because getting back to that, you just said, if you love something you do, you'll never work a day. I'm saying bullshit, because like if you're doing it as a job, it becomes less fun and it becomes like a job. So how do you make sure that you can balance that? And what advice would you give to other founders for that?
You need to do things outside of your work. Your work cannot be your life. When you do one thing and it's the only thing you do, you stop being able to see the forest from the trees, and it feels like it is a bigger deal than it is. And it is not that big of a deal. We're little ants floating on a rock in the middle of the space, right?
Yes.
And whatever you need to tell yourself to help pull back from the pressure, because I think burnout is really closely, at least in my own life, burnout is really closely related to feeling pressure. And it doesn't even mean that, I'm doing too many things or I can't get it all done. Sometimes it is literally like, I don't feel like I can do it. It doesn't actually equate to the actions. It equates to the feelings around them. Not always, right? I think there's I've on the podcast had a lot of career women who they worked super hard and their burnout came from getting to the finish line and realizing there was actually nothing for them at that finish line. And so maybe that was confusing passion with pressure. Again, following pressure and the status quo and what you think the world is telling you they need from you, instead of asking, do I actually like this? Is this leading where I want to go? And honestly, Amy, one of my favorite kind of mindset switches that I do a lot is, am I happy today? Am I taking care of myself today? Because if I am, I can trust myself to do it tomorrow, and I can trust myself that I will have done it in 10 years, and that in 10 years I will look back and I will have been happy and taken care of myself, and yeah, done hard things, and had, you know, times where I'm like losing my mind, but am I coming back and listening and being aware, and then also not forcing myself to like grow every day and like think I have to get, you know, 1% isn't much, like maybe it's play at 1% a day, right? But you don't have to get 100% better every single day.
Yeah. Have you heard of the cone of probability?
I don't think so.
So it's this system, like if you think about from today to next week, if you make one small change, like if you make no change, you're probably going to be the same person. So you're going to go the same. If you make one small change, then it goes into the possibility. So it widens that. And then if you make like even a bigger change, it's probability. So it's the idea that everything you do builds onto tomorrow. Yeah. So what you were just saying there, like being able to just take time to breathe, maybe meditate, maybe, you know, just play a little bit more.
Do a puzzle, do arts and crafts.
I love mindfulness.
Make that art.
Yes, like mindfulness I think goes so far to just calming that nervous system. And you don't have to have everything figured out. Yeah. And realize that the decisions you're making today are gonna be for the benefit of your tomorrow person. So this is, the next segment is our LFG segment. Okay. So it's like launch, fun, grind. What would you say is the biggest mental hurdle that you've had to overcome to become a founder? You've been doing it for 10 years. Have you, do you remember some hurdles? I mean, or do you make it look easy? What do other people looking in from that lens, like, you know, what was the thing that you had to like overcome?
Oh, it's funny because I think that we find ourselves overcoming the same thing over and over, right? Like we see this all the time. Someone will be like, I opened my journal from a decade ago and I was writing about the same problem I'm having today. And I've had that experience. Yeah. And I think it's not the same problem. I think it's the next evolution of the problem. It's the next iteration. And for me, one of the things is like being an ADHD girly. I was just talking to our friend Megan Hale. I was on a coaching call with her. And of course, she's like, well, what do you want? And as soon as I'm like, this is what I really want, these are my hopes and my fears, and I just allow myself to go there a little bit. She was like, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid is gonna happen if you go for this? And I'm like, I'm afraid I won't follow through. I've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah. I'm afraid I won't follow through. I'm afraid that someone will want something from me and I won't deliver. Right? And that's, you know, I have evidence to say that that's true.
And does that come down, you don't want to disappoint people? Is that like fear of failure, fear of disappointment?
Maybe. That might be the next level of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's, what do I think it is? I know that like there are projects that to this day should have been finished and never got done, right? So I know that, and I think, you know, one of the things that I also do outside of business is I never want to put somebody else in a position to be uncomfortable, right? So disappointment, if somebody has to then confront me and be like, Teresa, now we got to have a hard conversation. I'm like, oh, I don't want to make them have to do that. That's so bad to make somebody else have to do that. It's like trespassing. Yeah. I like, even if it's like some silly trespassing, I'm like, I don't want to trespass because somebody's going to have to come tell us to leave and they don't want to do that.
But on the flip side, that's going to make you really uncomfortable. So I think it's a defense mechanism that you want to make sure that you don't have to go into that conversation because you're like, I don't want to have that conversation.
I'm like, I don't want to do that.
So my base fear, and this, you know, you can go into whole psychology of childhood, but my base fear is rejection. Like, and it does go back, but like if I'm in business, and so I have to really get over that. So if I get told no, it's not rejection. It's not for them. It's redirection. And again, it's a redirection. Yeah. So it is so funny, like how our personalities go into our businesses. Yeah. And how, if you're aware of it, you're able to pivot. But those are the kinds of things that it's hard to be a founder. Yeah. It's really difficult. When you first started your Sleeked marketing, how did you go about funding? Yeah. And so a lot of women that I'm talking to, I think the majority of them self-fund. They're going in their savings, they're doing stuff things. Did you get investors or did you self-fund?
Completely self-funded. Honestly, everything that I've worked on up until this point has been self-funded. Even the app, no VC, self-funded.
Yeah.
So It's a hard journey, but choose your heart, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, choose your heart. The self-funding, a VC, crowdfunding, like it's going to be hard either way. Do you think that you could have grown faster, or your journey might have looked different if you would have looked at it through a funnel or a lens of getting funding? Like, if you had
100%.
a runway.
100%. But I think it would have been a runway to a thing I didn't want, which is reporting to somebody else, which is needing to continue forcing something to work to a scale that I don't need personally.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think a lot of times we don't stop to ask, like, scale is actually not like infinite. What scale means is, if you're looking at a map, it's like to scale. Scale is this size. And so in our culture, we've started to say we have to scale, 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 as in get bigger. But that's not the definition of scale. Scale is identifying the correct size for something to be. Not every business has to be $1 million business for it to have an immense impact on the business owner and the community, especially as women. When more women have more money, they spend it in the community. And we don't actually need to necessarily have more any billion dollar companies, right? And so I think that we a lot of times lose, or we don't talk about the value of a lot of people doing enough. And we get lost then in the conversation of like, well, if I'm not going to be a multi-million dollar company, is it even worth starting? And for most people, they don't need to grow personally to hold the capacity of what it takes to have a company that large. Now, there are people, right, that have that capacity, have that drive, and their passion is business and building a big business, or their work is something that is, for instance, a photographer. That photographer, they can do some amazing work and have an amazing impact. They don't need to hit everybody in the world, right?
Not everybody's going to be Annie Leibovitz.
Yeah, like you don't have to have everybody see your work, right? We only need one of her. And it doesn't mean that you can't scale to how big you want to be, but I just want people to actually ask themselves first, do you want to run a company that's large? Do you want to grow yourself in the way that I am having to, where it's like, okay, now I have to learn how to deal with tech. I have to learn how to hire and manage way better than I do, because that is not one of my strengths right now. And I have to learn how to deal with my tech rage. I hate tech. I might actually get off the internet now. But it is just like, if you are going to develop something that, the bigger it is, the more pieces and responsibility. And there's something beautiful and amazing about that. And like, yes, like one of my clients is a over 7-figure company, right? But I don't think everyone has to go there just because the rest of the world is saying they need to go there.
And it's exhausting when you have to start managing people. When you have to start putting together a team.
I can manage myself. I thought that was a win.
Yeah, I mean, managing is a whole nother thing. When you building a team that's sustainable, that you can trust, that adds a whole nother layer of administration. So that goes right into our grind, launch, fund, grind. How do you balance ambition with rest without falling into the hustle culture?
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance? So one of my non-negotiables is I really prefer not to work on weekends. Like, I want my nights to be with my family, my husband. Weekends, I want to be able to unplug, and I'm my best self on Monday morning. There are going to be times that you have to, because it happens, right? But that's a non-negotiable for me. Like, I would never take a job that I had to work constantly on nights and weekends. Being an entrepreneur, though, there's hardly any time off. Yeah. So finding those very specific delineated times that you work, how do you handle that? And then what advice would you give to other creators?
So 2 things. One, I completely agree with you. There is no time off unless you set the boundaries for yourself. So please set the boundaries for yourself. I know Monday, Tuesday, I can sit and be on the grind 10 hours each day on my computer getting things done. Wednesday, I'm good for nothing. Don't put me behind a screen. I will do nothing. But I am craving human connection. So I go to networking in the morning, and then I usually have podcasts or will kind of like let myself just do whatever, right? It's not like time blocked, this is what I have to do. It's what do I feel like doing today? Do I feel like getting anything done or not? And then usually it's like Thursday, Friday for me, or like Thursday is this one client, we get their stuff done and then we call it a day. And then Friday is podcast stuff. And that's like part of it. The second part is you have to define what enough is for yourself, not just with money, but also, and money, results, whatever, but also just with tasks. Like, what does today's list look like? What is a perfect month? Break it into weeks, break it into the day. I'll give myself, like, I'll write a list, I'll brain dump everything. And it's like, okay, great. If I've checked off either one big thing or 6 small tasks, I can call it quits for the day, right? But if we never allow ourselves to log out, then our brain's like, this is my problem. You just are thinking about work all the time and not getting things done.
Yeah.
So the second thing the third thing actually that I'll come back to is when it comes to grind, often we're not looking at our numbers, so we don't know how much we need to do, and we don't know what to do. So always look at your data. I see this all the time with new business owners that are like starting webinars or they're doing coaching and they do a live launch and they're like, my launch failed. I didn't get the numbers. I didn't get the revenue I wanted. But then when you reverse engineer it, it's like, okay, well, you only had 100 leads and 30 of them registered and you got 1 sale. And that's 1%, like, or however it works. And the numbers actually tell a much better story than, you know, just being like, well, I didn't hit the revenue. And it's like, well, now we have a baseline. You might not ever hit your like best revenue goal on your first launch. And you don't have to, but we can build from there. And that's really the goal. And so when it is that grind, what are we grinding towards? And do we actually know what enough is on these different levels so that we can then take a step back and stop working?
Yeah. And so much of it is like busy work. And so like, are you spending time on the thing that's going to bring you revenue, or are you doing the busy work that you're trying to get perfection out of? So it's like, it's that balance.
There's this incredible woman, Cheryl Garrett. She's a coach for artists in the UK, and she wrote a book on rave culture. Like she used to like, she's like in her 60s now, but she used to like rave and write about it. It's amazing. Yeah. But she said to me that she knows it's time to stop working for the day. Like she's burnt out, she's tired when she starts doing busy work. If you're only doing busy work, you're searching for dopamine through production, which is tied to your worth, instead of just stepping back and being like, okay, great, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, that's good. I think it was Steve Jobs. He had a thing where he had a notebook, and at the end of the day, he would, you know, write all his things down. He would close the notebook, and it gave him permission to like, it was a good, productive day. Now I'm giving myself permission to step back. And somebody who started like a $1 billion business, right? I mean, Apple is huge. Everything we have is Apple. The fact that the most productive people are like, I'm going to close my day, and I'm going to recharge. I'm going to go spend time with my family, and then tomorrow this notebook is going to be here. I'm going to open it back up and pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, think about your phone, right? You're talking about Apple. If I never put my phone on the charger, I can't keep using it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have to put ourselves on the charger.
Oh, I love that. Put yourself on the charger. All right. So kind of wrapping up, what would you like to impart your wisdom on, like want people to know about what you're doing, about your businesses, especially the Becoming Obsessed podcast?
Yeah. I am on a mission to live a life that I love, and I want to help the people around me do that as well. So number one, through Becoming Obsessed, I have conversations with real people who are trying to figure it out. And we're also doing programming around play. How do we learn how to play? And then how can we incorporate that into our business? So we're taking the pressure off and treating our work like a playground. And then I specifically help business owners through their email, right? I think that's the best way to make more money in your business. It's the low-hanging fruit, guys. So Sleeked Marketing, we do done for you. I do VIP days. If you're not sure where you need to start, maybe you have a list, you haven't done much, or you're doing stuff and none of it's really making you money yet, we can start with a VIP day, do an audit. And then if you need contracts and legal support, the Creative Law Foundry is a platform that gives you the education, but also the tools. So attorney drafted contracts, education telling you exactly what's in those contracts. And now with so many people using AI to write their contracts, people are like, do I need attorney drafted contracts? Yes. It's the number one way to improve and protect your client relationships. So there's many different things, many different ways to find me to get into my world.
And what are some great ways that they can reach you on socials or your, on-site?
Yeah. Find me on Instagram, send me a DM or a voice note at Teresa A. Jean. And then I also have a newsletter that is very active that I love for the podcast where I talk about all things play, living a life you love, teresaagene.com.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to impart?
It is your life. You get to do whatever you want with it. So have fun, love it.
Awesome. I love that. Teresa, thank you so much for being on LFG with AQi. It's a great conversation.
Thank you. I love it so much. I love you so much.
Yay. Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Sidebar for our investors and the SEC. Investing in Reg CF offerings involves risk, including illiquidity and the possible loss of your entire investment.
With as hard as life can be, I wouldn't ask to change a thing.